Just here to review cellular respiration for you. This is a follow-up to our organelle project where we made analogies to the different organelles, right? So an important organelle is the mitochondria where respiration happens. So you can also think this is a review of the mitochondria here and what it does, all right? So you might have heard the word respiration before. You might think to respire is to breathe. But in biology, respiration is a different idea. It's about eating and breaking down food and getting energy from it. So breaking down food and turning it into energy, something that should be familiar to you guys. Okay, so we're going to burn food. Food is a fuel for energy. Okay, the food acts like a fuel, right? Just like gas for a car. This is going to happen in the mitochondria. And more specifically, the food we're talking about here is actually just one molecule called glucose, which is a sugar, is the fuel. So just like you have to put gasoline in your car, you can't put, oh, let's just say apple cider into the car, right? But it's not going to run. Now, I know we eat different kinds of foods, but your body always converts it into glucose before breaking it down. So glucose is always going to be the starting fuel for this. And all living things do this, okay? All life does this. And I'll just put in parentheses plants too. Right? Even though they make their own food in photosynthesis, they still have to break it down. That's the mitochondria's job, okay? So just like for photosynthesis, let's do the equation for respiration, okay? And it's going to show you everything that's needed, everything that gets made, okay? And you're going to see it's really similar to photosynthesis. For respiration, you need oxygen, and you need food, you need that fuel, so it's going to be glucose. All right, make sure you study the formula for glucose there, guys. And then when these two mix, when you breathe oxygen, when you eat food, it gets sent into your mitochondria. The mitochondria is filled with enzymes, right? And the enzymes break apart this glucose into CO2, which is carbon dioxide, and water. Notice on the left and right side, you just see three elements, C, H, and O, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. That's because they're just rearranged by the enzymes in the mitochondria. As they break the bonds, it releases energy, which powers everything you do. Okay, that's the big idea behind this process. All right, fun fact, what happens to these? Well, we breathe those out, right? And you could think the opposite. What about these? Well, we take them in. We don't breathe in food, we eat it, but oxygen we do breathe in. Don't forget these are the reactants. So what's needed? And these are the products. What gets made, okay? Before you go any further, look closely at this. Look closely at your photosynthesis equation. You'll see an interesting pattern, hopefully. You'll see an interesting relationship. Look at the molecules closely if it's not clear. And think about how are plants and animals related. That's related to this question as well. All right? So there's three main steps that you guys need to know. The first part is called glycolysis. Each of these steps is actually quite complex, okay? So we're not going to spend too much time in it. So for glycolysis, glyco is sugar and lysis means to split, okay? what happens is the glucose molecule is split in half, and taken inside the mitochondria, okay? Once this goes inside, it enters the second step, which is the Krebs cycle, okay? And just like the Calvin cycle, it's a bunch of enzymes inside the organelle, okay? The Calvin cycle is in the chloroplast, so it's a bunch of enzymes in the chloroplast. This is the mitochondria. It's full of enzymes. Now, what do these enzymes do? And again, compare it to photosynthesis. Well, in the chloroplast, there's enzymes that build glucose. This is going to be the opposite, okay? These are enzymes that digest or break apart glucose, all right? So this is a series of enzymes and they're digesting. Remember, digest is to break apart, right? A series of digestive enzymes. They break apart. They break apart the glucose and release energy electron transport chain, which we're about to write, okay? So what is the electron chain? When glucose gets broken apart in the Krebs cycle, it's going to release a bunch of energy. Now, the chemistry is the energy is stored in these energetic electrons, and your body can't use those. They're actually called free radicals, and they can be harmful if they release in your body. So what the cell does is it funnels the energy just like water flowing downhill. When water flows downhill, you can use it to turn a water wheel. And that's a similar idea behind this. So there's a bunch of proteins in the mitochondria, okay? So the energy from glucose that was released in the Krebs cycle is sent to proteins in the mitochondrial membrane, okay? These are actually embedded in the membrane of the mitochondria. And an important one you guys should know is ATP synthase. So what this is, well, it's a protein that builds ATP. ATP is the energy molecule that we use, okay? Protein, so this converts the glucose energy, the energy that was released, remember, that's in the form of energetic electrons that the cell can't hold on to. So it funnels this energy into a molecule, it builds a molecule, and that molecule is ATP. This molecule is used for everything. When the cell moves, when you move, you're spending ATP. Every time a molecule moves around, a molecule of ATP is spent. It's like a rechargeable battery. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, but just know that ATP is energy pretty much, right? So ATP synthase is a protein that converts the glucose energy into ATP, right? Which is the energy molecule for life. Now your cells are going to use ATP to build molecules, to help move around, to digest more food. It's going to be using energy to perform every process. ATP is what it's going to take, okay? And you can think it's like converting one form of money into another. If the cell is a city, well, the currency it accepts is ATP. And other forms of energy like light energy or food energy aren't really types of energy we can use, which is why we have to turn one into another. You might just say, Why don't we just break up the food and use that energy directly to power us? And this is just how we evolved. This is just how life figured out how to use energy, how to make energy, okay? So ATP synthase, real simple, just builds ATP, okay? And that's the whole process of respiration. Glucose is split in half in glycolysis. It's sent into the Krebs cycle where it's broken down by enzymes, and the electron transport chain uses that energy from glucose to make ATP, which is the energy that powers everything, okay? And I could even say that powers all cell processes. That's why in your analogy report, you talked about the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It makes the energy for the cell. Well, that's why, okay? So really important is to look at your equation. Think about how it compares to photosynthesis for sure, okay? You're going to notice that these seem like opposite processes, right? This one's breaking down food. Photosynthesis is building food. And that's the big step to remembering these, comparing these. That's why we're doing them back to back, guys, okay? So you're going to use this to help you do your just mini review here. And also you're going to be comparing respiration and photosynthesis. Do that by going over your notes and looking for keywords like oxygen, glucose, carbon dioxide, water, right? Energy. What's happening with each of these processes? What's similar? What's different about them? Where does it happen? Right? What happens? What is each one? Try to think about as many similarities and differences as you can. And this is going to lead us to, well, how are animals and plants related? Why can we keep plants alive and plants keep us alive? Well, one couldn't live without the other as far as I'm concerned. Okay, guys, so hope this was okay. Don't forget to just do that assignment on Classroom, please. Thanks, everybody.